If you like this video, make sure to visit our Vimeo page and follow us to get the latest update.
So Rajesh, we are discussing about the initial load. So initial load is nothing but we are loading the data from the source system to the target system. Okay. So last class, okay, when you go for the last class, okay, we discussed about the process of initial load. The initial load is the first major step we had to be done from the FI side. Okay, so the data will be getting loaded from the source system to the target system as on the day. So when you go to the source system, this is my source system. EPX is nothing but my source system. So to be very frank, okay, so to go to, okay, so go to SM30, and in this SM30, so in the source system, we have to maintain the process. Okay, so I'm going to be using the table which is going to be called as a bcfin underscore source underscore set. bcfin underscore source underscore set, which is very, very important for us.
Sure.
Okay, so here when I click on the maintain, so you are going to get the screen, and here in the screen we are going to be using the company code called as RK02. So the initial load of the balances is going to be 2019, and the documents are going to be the 2019, and the posting date, and the posting of the period of the document will be the one. Okay, so it is going to be the reconciliation. All the reconciliation accounts means all the open items are getting reconciled and posted to the reconciliation account. That is going to be called as our clearing account. We have given one clearing account. Last class we had discussed about what is the clearing account. Okay, so or the GL reconciliation. So once you complete the initial load, we are going to be selecting the checkbox. So this is our process actually. So this is what exactly, okay, we are going to be doing the period 1 to 1. Okay, that is from the period documents, and the periods are going to be starting the first period which are going to be, and I'm going to be saving the data. So after you do the setting, after we complete this setting, okay, so when I come to the normal, okay, so this is what we have to do in the source system. This is the thing we have to complete in the source system. Now when I come to my DB2 is nothing but your target system actually. So when you come to the target system, if I go to the SPRO, ING, financial accounting. So here, if you come to the central finance, and in the central finance, now we are going to be doing the initial load from the source system to the target system. So we need to come to the target system. This is the target system, and here we have a concept called the initial load. And initial load, already we have done the initial load setting. Actually, what is the reconciliation account and everything. Okay, so last class we discussed about what is the logical system. Logical system is nothing but your source system. From which source system the data has to be transferred to your target system.
Hey, Mahesh, this is Vijay.
Hey, Raj, hi, how are you?
I just got the link to this class. Can you just revert back to where you started out, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Please go through that again, okay?
Yeah. I just been telling that this is in the source system actually. In the source system, so basically when you go to the SF30, we are going to be using the table which is going to be called as the bcfin underscore source underscore set.
Yes.
So here, as we discussed that if you go and click on the maintain, we have maintained the data. Okay, we have maintained the data for our company code RK02. So which start balances, which year start balances, we are going to do the initial load of the balances, and which year the documents are going to be transferred, and which period the documents are going to be started. Okay, so we have given the periods, and we have selected the reconciliation account. Why we have selected the GL reconciliation account? Because all the open items. Vendor open item, customer open item, all the open items are getting transferred to which account? We have called as a clearing account. So when I go here, when I go to the target system, all the reconciliation. So last class we have discussed about 1 hour regarding this. Okay, so we have assigned one subscription account which is going to be called as a 200202. So this all the reconciliation accounts are getting transferred to this particular GL account. This GL account is going to be called as my transfer account. Actually, we can use it as a account where the balances are going to be transferred to this particular substitution account. So all the balances in this substitution account has to be get 0. Why? Because there should not be any balances in the substitution account if I go and see them, because already the migration account is going to be cleared for this. So last class we have discussed about the concept of what is a substitution account and what is a clearing account over here. Now,
Yes. So Mahesh, question for you. Let me
yeah,
interrupt here. We are not allowed to use company RKO1, RKO2. I understand that. But when we do our exercises, we will have to have a company code already set up on ECC, which has
correct.
got to be. So it means we have to do the configuration on ECC ourselves, correct?
Correct, exactly. So ECC means already it is a live system which is running from the client side actually. So we have to before we do the process of doing the simple finance, before you go and do the SLT connectivity and everything, first of all we need to study the ECC system, what process they're going to be using, and what is the current nature of the system, and we have to understand, and then we have to go for the transfer of the balances.
So right now in ECC system, are there any dummy companies that we can use for us to be able to do the corresponding configuration in central finance? That means I don't have to set up a company on ECC from scratch.
Okay, let me check. I'll give it to you. Okay, let me check about the company course. Okay, I'll check and I'll give it to you. Okay.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Otherwise, I mean, I will have to set up the company code, the whole structure on ECC before I can bring it. The vendors, customers, accounts, all that configuration will have to be done. Postings will have to be done in ECC before I can go to central.
I understand that.
I don't want to do that. You see,
Sure.
that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
I understand that. Okay, so let me check out and I'll give one company code to you. Okay.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Now, why we have to maintain the subscription account? Why? Because, okay, so as I discussed from the last classes, so all the balances, when you see the balances related to the reconciliation account, all the balances are getting transferred to their assigned subscription account. So when I take a reconciliation account, you can have multiple reconciliation account. I told that, okay, this is one of the example which I'm going to be giving as one of the reconciliation account. So now when I go to the new entry, I may have multiple reconciliation accounts. For example, I'm going to be using my company code, RK. Okay, I'm going to be using my company code, RK01. So now if I press enter, or if I click on the open item also, so all the open items related to the company code, if I press enter, I'll get all the open items of the RK01. Just 1 second, so 1 second. So let me wait. Okay, so now here, okay, so it is RK02 or RK01. We are going to be using RK02. Okay, sorry. So here I given it as RK01, but if I see here, I'm going to be using the company code called as RK02, not RK01. So if I come down, okay. So I'm going to be using RK02, not RK01. Okay. So let me change my company code also. So it is getting defaulted with the company code. So what I will do here, so I'll go to the new entry. So I'll copy the same account. Initially, what I will do, I will delete. Okay. So initially what I'm going to do, I'm going for the new entry. Now I'm pressing enter. Now here in my company code, it is RK02. And I'm giving the clearing account and I'm pressing enter. Okay. Now see here, this is the first basic setting we had to do for that. This is the migration clearing account. This we can call it as the migration clearing account. Now I'm saving. And what I have to do here, select your company code and click on subscription account and click on subscription account. See, as of now, we are not assigned any accounts related to your subscription part. Okay, go for the new entry. Now here, what we have to do here is nothing but we have to transferring the balances related to the reconciliation accounts. So now what are all the reconciliation accounts? We have many types of reconciliation accounts we are going to be providing. Okay. So here when we see here, do you want to edit the entries? Yes. Okay, what is the project? So you might have created one project. Okay, project is not found. Okay, so I'll be continuing without any specific project if the project is not there. Now here you can see here. Okay, so IMT activity. So now which particular concept of the chart of accounts? So we don't record anything. Why? Because when we are using the project as a reference, we are going to be using over here. So we don't want to use anything over here. So I just continuing. We don't want anything related to the project. Now here I need to go to the reconciliation accounts. Why the system has stopped? 1 second. I need to go to the reconciliation accounts.
Mahesh?
Yes, sir.
Once the initial load is completed,
Okay.
the configuration, what we are doing is completely mute, correct?
Exactly.
Because,
That's what exactly. Yeah, that is the show. That is the proof of concept we are going to be doing.
okay.
Now, 1 second. There is one more important thing we need to understand. If we don't want to do the initial load, we have to say the initial load is the basic thing. An initial load is going to be the basic thing you have to do before you do any kind of project. I mean, it's before you start doing of any kind of replication process. But if I don't want to do the reconciliation, if I don't want to do the initial load, because some clients are telling that I don't want to do the initial load. So as a proof of concept, you have to do the empty one without doing. So there is a notice also there regarding that. If you are not supposed to do, okay, 1 second, sir, 1 second. I share that note. 1 second, 1 second. Okay, very important. Thanks for asking this question also. So if you don't want to do the initial load, the system is very clear. The SAP is also telling very clear as a proof of concept, you have to do the initial load with empty.
So I guess it is a sort of a prerequisite, even if you have no initial load.
Exactly. You are absolutely right. Yes, you are absolutely right. So it is one of the prerequisite you have to do. Even if you are not doing the initial balance upload, if you doesn't have the balances also, it is a prerequisite to do that activity as one of the configuration part.
Configuration part and also the loading, right?
Loading. Let me to say that loading. Yeah, you are right. So you can see the node number 214-88893, 214-8893. If we come to this part here, see here, this is what exactly the people are telling here. So enter the company code for which you want to transfer the data and make sure the following settings. Okay, balances. Okay, start the balances, the documents. Okay, if you want the system to replicate the GL account posting triggered to the controlling. If you see here, the words are very, very important. If you want the system to replicate is something different actually to the initial. Replicate the GL reconciliation posting to center finance, the system to initial, select the reconciliation posting transfer checkbox. So here, this is what exactly, if you want to replicate. So when I'm coming here, this is the checkbox. Okay, so if I go back, so this is the checkbox. So if you want to replicate the reconciliation account, if you don't want to replicate the reconciliation account, they are telling that don't select this particular checkbox. Okay, so this part is very, very important. If you want the system to replicate the GL reconciliation posting to the controlling to the central finance system during the initial load, select the reconciliation transfer posting. While the initial load has been completed for the company code, select the initial load. Okay, that I'll do that. Now this is very, very important. Empty initial load is very, very important for us. Now, maybe the clients are asking us, we don't have any kind of data because we are going live after the year-end closing activity, Rahul. Okay, so no need to do any kind of initial balance upload. So is it a compulsory that, is it one of the prerequisites that you have to do the initial balance upload before you go for any kind of replication? Yes. So in a proof of concept, you can execute the empty initial load in order to activate ongoing replication. Very, very important. Yes. So empty initial load in order to activate the ongoing. However, the empty initial load is not sufficient before you go live. So to do the make sure the following settings: company code, enter the relevant company code, start in the start balance empty. What you have to do here? Okay, you are going to be not using anything. I'm removing. Very, very important. Okay, I'm removing everything and I'm just removing the reconciliation accounts now. Okay, start balance. Leave this field empty. Now, the start document, choose your in-year in future for which nothing has to be posted so far. Okay, see here. Start documents, choose a year in the future for which the nothing has to be posted for. Document, choose the period in future for the nothing has to be posted for. Okay, documents period 12 and leave other all the fields empty. So here what I'm going to be, nothing has been posted, just I'm putting as a 2019 and documents. Okay, so it is the system is telling, okay, so what is the documents here? Document period is 12 and the remaining all the periods has to be empty. So here what are the documents period I'm putting as a 12 and the remaining all the periods as an empty. Now what I'm going to do, now I'm going to be saving. Okay, now you can see here. So it's concept only as a proof of concept to tell to the system, yes, I had done the initial balance upload, because the program has to be get executed in the backend. If the program has not executed in the backend, even if the balances are there or doesn't there, so the program has to be get executed, then only the system will allow you to do the replication part. So this note tells us about the concept of the periods and the living. Now what is happening here? Now this is a blah 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 company code. You want to transfer the balances only for the start of 2013 until the end of the fiscal year balance. Okay, under the fiscal year balance of 2000. So what I'm going to do, start period and the start month and the balance transfer and everything. This is what I had to do in the system, sir. So is it clear now?
Yes. Thanks, Rahul.
So
One
yes.
more question. I'm sorry. Yeah. So one more question. Once you do this one, is there a table where we can see the log, like the initial data load has been completed?
100%. Why? Because just we have done only the setting what we have to do over here. So now once you complete the setting here, when I come to the display, okay, so I'm just closing. Okay, when you come to the display, here, when I come to the display, when I come to the central financial accounting to the target system, in the target system, we have the concept called as the initial load. In the initial load already, we have done the setting. Okay, from which system the balances has to be get transferred. Okay, this we have seen about. We are given the clearing account also. Now here, in the part number 2, where we are going to be having 2 loads. One is from the management accounting, that is from the controlling and the reconciliation part. And the second one is going to be called as initial load execution for the financial accounting. In the financial accounting, okay, see here, whether you want to do the initial load for all the company codes or whether you want to do the initial load execution for the selected company codes. So here we'll get the log. So first we need to complete the basic settings. Okay, so extract the data for the initial load. Now we are going to be extracting. So now here, the number of batch jobs, as I told you that, okay, so we have given the number of jobs as a 50. So here we have seen here the number of jobs, okay, the package size, we have given it as a 50. Now what I'm going to do here, so you can take 50 or whatever maybe, okay, so I'm taking the 50 as a batch job or something like, not required, Rahul, so we don't have such a batch jobs, okay, so can I use that 10 or something like that? Yes, you can use a minimum requirement, okay, depends upon your data. Now I'm clicking on execute. Now see here, because we are doing the initial load without any data. Means without any data means it is a proof of concept only. So what is the telling? Initial load using the initial load group has been started. Yes, preparation for the step. So this is what exactly the table, the data where we can see the fail has been failed. Why? Because there is no data. If there is data, then I can see the replicate, the loading has been done successfully to this particular table. But now what is happening? Now there is no data. The step of CJ1_FI_doc has been failed because you are doing something called as initial load without any balances. Clear? Rajesh and Ajay.
Yeah, yeah, Mahesh.
Yes, sir.
Mahesh, question for you. I was just speaking. I mean, this is offline, okay, but I need to say this.
Yeah.
I would like to have one thing, because we're getting a lot of messages. Sometimes we get messages from ZaranTech and sometimes we don't. So can you send the link to ZaranTech blog or whatever it is, because we need to go in there. This is where you have sent it one time. Can you send that again so we can see exactly what is out there?
Sure, sir. I'll do that. Okay, sure, definitely. Okay, sure.
Can you do that after the class so I can go and start taking a look what documentation we have?
Okay, no, definitely. I'll give that.
Now, let me ask you: have you posted? Have you posted? Can you just take a quick second after this and show what you have got in the repository there? Okay.
No, I'll upload. I will upload. Don't worry, sir. I'll upload them. I will upload it.
Okay, but send the link to us, okay? Please,
Yeah,
the
yes.
fresh link. Okay.
Oh,
All
okay. No. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. Now.
And by the way, also, I talked to ZaranTech before I came to the class today. I had to muscle some things up. They said that we still need to wait for the access. The access is not ready for us. Is that true?
Just now. Rajesh also read the concern. Okay, so now the ZaranTech support team, they have taken our concern. Okay, by today you are going to get the access to the system.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I wanna do what you are doing. Otherwise, we forget. Okay, we wanna practice. Okay, all right.
Definitely, sir. Definitely, yeah.
But please do send the link for the repository today without fail, please.
Why? Because see, sir, one thing I can tell you, one thing here is giving the access to the normal S4HANA system is different, and giving the access because they have to give the login credential to the two systems. One is SAP ECC, another one is SAP S4HANA. So already the consent has been read. They're preparing the credential. So I thought that okay, by today or by most probably by tomorrow morning it is going to get to you. Don't worry, sir. Before the morning you will get access to the system.
And please send us the email, the link to your blog, okay?
Sure.
Please,
Sure.
today, okay? All right, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Now we have extracted the data for the initial load. So extract the data means the job has been scheduled. Now we have to monitor the data now. Okay, once the job has been scheduled, we have to monitor. So monitor the extraction data. So now what we are going to do, because now we got the error. Why? Because we are doing the empty. So here what is happening here, because there is no data. So step number all, okay, to do the status. Now it is empty. Why? Because we are not executed any kind of data. And error messages, we don't have any error. See here, no error or warning message in the selection package. Okay, so go back. Okay, the step number 2 is looking good. Now simulate the mapping. Initial load for the center finance, simulate the mapping. So what is happening here? Okay, so initial load for the center mapping is nothing but data mapping between the source system to the target system. Okay, so same thing. Okay, so we'll have some data in the next one. So what is happening here? So now without the data, because to simulate everything, as I told you, that proof of concept to in the backend to tell to the system that okay, we are doing the initial load, so we are getting it because there is no data. But in the backend, the system has to understand that your initial data load has been uploaded. Now we don't wait to until the initial load. So why? Because the system has already got the confirmation. Yes, we have done the initial load execution. And this is simulation posting, what postings you have been made, okay, what type of data has been posted, everything you can see and you can see. So what is happening here, you can see here that these are going to be called as the step numbers where the tables are getting updated for each and every transaction. And Mahesh, do we have any option that whatever the data I have posted as the initial upload, can we go and delete that? Yes, you have an option called as the deletion also. This is the deletion of the initial load data. So in the deletion here, what type of data you want to delete? Do you want to delete all the data, exact execution data, or do you want to delete only the selected data? What type of data you want to delete? Okay, here we have called as all the options. But as per the SAP recommendation, it is very clear that please, for the sake, make sure that before the initial load only you have the correct data you have been posted. Why? Because what is happening if you go and do this deletion option, sometimes we are going to be deleting the unwanted data. Okay, yes, that is very good, but what by the mistake, if you are deleting the data which is going to be the required, then there will be a problem for us. Again, we have to do the initial balance. It is just like a current project what you're going to be doing. So it's a recommendation from the SAP that before you do the deleting of any kind of data, check whether all the data has been properly loaded and why do you want to delete the load data? What is the purpose here? Why? Because if you're unwanted things are going to be deleted, that is very good. But what happened if some data is going to be deleted, which is going to be required? Then the reports will not be get executed, and there will be some balances mismatching between the reconciliation accounts and other accounts. And then again, you have to verify the balances from the scratch.
But Rahul,
Yeah.
I'm little surprised we don't have company code option here, because I mean, let's say we have two sources,
Mm.
and I did my initial load from source one, and
Okay.
now
Here.
already,
Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
so now I loaded my second source data
Mm.
also, but I
Mm.
want to only delete the second source data only. You
Okay.
know, so how would I tell to the system only delete the data that I loaded from source two?
So you want to be deleting only for certain company codes, not for all the company codes. I'm right?
Correct, correct.
So what is happening here is, okay, in the SAP system, actually see here the prop, that is what exactly I'm going to be telling here. So what here we have the called as the company code option. You can see here, the company code option is going to be provided to us. See, there is a company code. So if I want to delete only for one company code, RK02 with the company code which I'm going to be. And what is the sender logical system? The sender logical system should be your source system. So what I'm going to do here.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. Now, when I want to do the sender, now what is happening here? Now, if I go with SPRO, so how you can identify which sender system you are going to be doing? Okay. So I had to go to the central finance, and I had to come to the central finance, and in the central finance, go to the target. And here in the initial load itself, you have given some settings, which is going to be called as choose your logical system. So what I'm going to do, so maybe you are going to be using, see, here we are going to be using only one source system. Okay. But you may having the multiple source system. So from which source system, which company code you want to delete, then I need to copy. Okay. I need to copy the source system from here. And this is my source system. Okay. And if we come back, where is that? Okay. If I come back, I can give the source system here. Because what is happening? Because this RK02 may have in other company code, in other system also maybe. See, for example, I have two systems there. Okay, in the first system I have the RK02, and in the second system also RK02. So if I give only the company code RK02, okay, is the system what it will delete from the both the systems? No, it has to be deleted only from one system, that is from the so and so logical system. So I have the option of giving the system and the company code.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
But Mahesh,
Yes,
within
sir.
the company code, either I delete all the data for that company code, or I don't. It's not. I have a choice.
You have a choice, sir. That is what I'm telling here. So what? Okay, what? Okay. So whether you want to delete the extraction data, or whether you want to delete the posting data, or whether you want to delete the simulation data. See, for example, see here. See here, extraction data, posting data, and the simulation data. Here, the posting initial load data. So we have three options. Extraction means you have done the extraction, but you are not posted as of now. One thing, you have done the extraction. Now simulation means what type of data I have extracted, I want to see the simulation. The second thing. And after I see the simulation, now I have the option called as a posting. Post the initial load data. So which data you are going to be posting the initial load if I run, because here we don't have the data. I can see here. So this is the job which is going to be running in the backend. So this is the posting of the data. Now, this is what the job. Now, how can see the job? Okay, if I go into the SM37, I can see the job. Okay, so this is the job which is going to be running. So I can copy this. Okay, I can copy this. And now what I have done here, I have posted this. Now, here we have the system option. What is the system option? That is nothing but monitoring the posting. Now you can go and monitor. Now you have finished the data. Now you can see here the step number has been finished because we have done the initial load. We have done the initial, now we have posted. Now you can see here the warnings have come here, the postings have been made here. Now which data you want to delete? So you want to delete the data related to the simulation, or whether you want to delete the data related to the posting, or whether you want to delete the data related to the execution of the data. So that you have option of doing the things. Yeah.
So Mahesh, have you seen this? I mean, you have loaded the data. You've done the initial load. but really in the real life, what is your experience in terms of deleting the
So
data with a
I
single
have
agent?
got lot many errors when I go to my real time, when we have done the same implementation, as I told you that, okay, when we have done the central finance system to one of our UK clients, you believe or not, actually we have went lot many situations where we have faced a problem during the mapping of the data during the simulation actually. So the mapping is going to play the major role actually. So I'll give some examples also. So the initial load, see, as I told you that, okay, you can do the posting, but what type of postings you have to do that everything. First of all, we have to do the mapping, and then the mapping is successfully done, then only the documents will be posted. We have got nearly 160 or 70 errors related to the posting of the initial load because of some mapping of the fields in the SLT. Clear? So this is the
Very
initial
clear.
load. Okay, delete the initial load data in the source system. Okay, so we have done this in the data initial load in the target system. This is what we have done in the target system. But what about in the source system? Okay, in the source system also you can do that. But here I am clearly telling that don't delete any kind of data. Why? Because the initial load of the balances are going to be executed. So if I go SM37. If I go to SM37, so I'm just giving the badge name. Okay, so I'm getting, so this is what exactly the finished job. You can see just now we have finished the executing of the data. The document has got posted. And if I click on the spool is not generated, but I can see the log. Okay, so and so data. Okay, completed, zero initial load. Why? What can somebody can tell you what is zero initial load?
Yeah, in my mind, zero initial load means this empty. Okay.
Exactly, empty. As I've shown the note that you are doing the initial load data with empty. Empty is nothing but, so it is called as the proof of concept. The proof of concept, you can execute an empty initial load in order to activate the ongoing replications. So if I don't do this, if I don't do this empty replication, if you can do the initial load data with the balances, or if you don't have the balances, if you don't want to do the initial load of the balances, for example, the December 31st, I have done everything in my source system. So January 1st, I would like to go with SAP Central Finance. So for this, I don't want to require any kind of initial balance upload. I don't want any kind of initial balance upload. So in this case, I have to do the initial balance upload at the empty. So for the ongoing replication, so tomorrow onwards, you're posting some transactional data. Tomorrow onwards, you're posting some transactional data. So if I go and if I see here, okay, we are going to do some onlining transactions. So then when you are going to be seeing the replicating of online transaction, means whenever any documents are getting posted in the source system, the document has to go and get updated in my target system. So if you want to do the replicating the data from the source system to the target system, so you have to do the initial balance upload either with the balance or either with the
Without
zero
balance.
balance.
So,
Clear?
yeah, clear. Mahesh, I mean, basically, if I to summarize all this, I mean, you have to define the logical systems. You got to define your substitution and
Correct.
clearing it. And then you have three types of data: extraction, simulation, and the posting. And then you either execute and you set up the parameters. You either execute initial load or without any transactions. Correct?
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
So this is the whole thing that you have covered so far, correct?
No, only we have done only the part of initial load only, not more than that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Very, very important actually. We have done only the parts of initial load. So here, now the same note I'm giving for your reference. Now you can download the note. See here, I'm giving the note here. So that is the note where you can get all this information. So you can download and you can keep it ready with you.
So this is going to be sitting in our blog, the repository.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now here we have this. Okay, you can download this. Okay, you have the concept of proof of concept. Now I'm saving here.
So Mahesh, when you do that initial load, how much time? I mean, you do the configuration. I mean, it's about 10% of the configuration initial load.
Can you come again, sir? Can you come again, sir?
I mean, data mapping is going to be big, I know. But again, initial load takes how much time average? If you have 2 or 3 instances of legacy systems, how much time do you spend on initial load, basically, if we get it right?
45 to 60 minutes, sir. For 45 to 60 minutes, it has taken for us initial load.
Okay. So in your projects, how much time did you spend? 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks?
Uh, to be very frank, sir, to mapping and everything, the initial load, okay, for this, okay. Still I remember, okay, so because the initial load we have spent about nearly, yeah, it's a 1 month, sir, 1 month to 35 days we have done it.
Yeah, 1 month, 4 weeks, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, correct. So now we are going to be, okay, so the initial load. So now what is happening here? Okay, so we are going to be doing the initial, so that is nothing but FI initial load execution for all the company codes or selected company codes. So if you want to do for all the company codes, okay, you can do for all the company code. That is what exactly the system is telling. If you want to do the selected company codes, you can have the option of the selected company codes. You can tell, okay, so now if it is for selected company codes, okay, so let me give that now. Now, hey, Rahul, we don't want to do for all the company codes. We have only the option called as the selection company codes. Okay, you have the option of executing an FI initial load for all the company codes or for selected company codes. It depends upon the requirement to requirement actually. So the activities which are going to be related, these options are available now. Okay, so if I go to the selected company codes, okay, now we have to define the initial load groups, okay, for the selected company codes. So initial load groups are nothing but we are combining all the company codes which are going to be required for the selected company codes. Now I'm coming to the define initial group. I need to assign all the company codes to this initial group now, just like how you're creating the chart of accounts and you're assigning the company codes to the chart of account in the same way. For only for selected company codes, what are all the selected company codes you want to do? So I am creating a one group that is going to be called as the load group. And for this load group, I need to assign the selected company codes.
So one thing, Mahesh, if you have got 5 or 6 companies as a part of the initial load, and if the data mapping is not set properly, you could waste a lot of time, or rather, it is better to have one company code, get the master data. I mean the mapping completely correct, and then go to company code 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Exactly, sir.
Which one would you prefer?
So I'll prefer only for selected company codes for the mapping between one company code. That is what exactly the 30-40 days what we have been spent only for the mapping means. We have to understand the logic of the mapping between the source company codes and the target company codes. After we confirm only, we have to do the initial balance upload. So company code to company code is the mandatory instead of going with all the company codes.
Yeah, so rather than executing the initial load for 10 companies at one time, it is better to do one company load.
Exactly, one by one. Exactly, you're right.
So yeah, that's important. That's important. Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah. Now I selected. Okay, you can go and you can create the group. Okay, you can give the group name with any 4 alpha numerical values. Okay, you can give any group. Okay, so it is not a mandatory that you have to start. Okay, you have to go and you can give the group name. And after you give the group name, directly you have to go to the assigned company codes. So just now I told that you are going to be creating the group. Under this group, what are all the company codes which are going to be required? Now, if I double click on the company codes, okay, now I have an option called as a new entry. In this new entry, so the source systems are very, very important. Okay, so one of the source system which I'm going to be taking just now we have copied. Okay, the execution. Okay, this is one of the source system. I just now told that the source system you can get all the information from here. So if I go to the overview, you can get all the information of the source system. These are the source systems which you are going to be having. So which source system you are going to be using? I am going to be using called as the EPX 800. And what are the company code? So company code is only RK02. I want to do the initial balance upload for the selected company code. In this way, can I give multiple company codes with the same source system? Definitely. If you have another company code within the source system, you can also give, that is now for example RK01 like this. So all the listed company codes should be given as a option. Why? Because you're not doing for all the company codes. Here you are doing the initial balance upload only for the selected company codes. Then after that, you can go and you can save. Here, company code RK02 can be added. It is already assigned. Okay, so it is already assigned here. Why? Because I don't want to require. Okay, so I can save it. Now, if I go back, I have the option called as RK02. Now,
So
there is a
Mahesh,
question.
Mahesh, this is a very important point you just talked. Let me just, if you have three different company codes, okay? I mean, three legacy systems, okay?
Okay.
And you've got say, RK02 in one company, in one logical system, and RK02 in logical system 3. And then you can pick and choose which data you want to move. And you can also say, I can do a consolidation in Central Finance based on the company codes I want to pick, regardless of where, which, and they could belong to different legacy systems, okay? But I'm legacy system 1, 2.
But
Yeah.
make sure that, but before that, okay, so you are not only doing the selected documents replication, sir. So if we go back, if I given the company code, if we go back to the source company code, for example, if I go to the source system, here you are given the RK02 for the entire the balance of the fiscal year. So you cannot do the transfer only for the specifically for a 1 period or 2 period, but you have to give the company, you have to give the year here. So which year
Yes.
the documents are going to be. So all the year related to this company codes are getting initial loaded.
Absolutely.
So there is no something like specifically, hey, I don't want to load all this kind of data. I want to load only the specific data. No, you cannot do that. See, this is just like a cutover activity. This is just like a cutover activity where you are going to do. So it is the system performance. It is the system requirement where you have to give the company code with the fiscal year, and it depends upon the fiscal year what company code you are going to be executing. Clear?
Yeah, clear, of course.
Yeah, but there is a one question actually. Okay, so can we directly do this initial load? There are no prerequisites. Somebody is asking me a question. Yes, there are some prerequisites.
Yes.
Before you do the initial load from the source company code to the target company code, yes, we have to do something called as prerequisites. Prepare for the initial load before you do the initial load upload. So what are the prerequisites? What I had to do in my, because I am doing the initial balance upload in my target system from the source system. So before I do this activity, what are all the preparation for the initial load in the source system? Very, very important. This is the very, very important. The point number 1, I'm going to write because I remember all the points. I remember all the points. Okay, so make a note. So what are the activities I had to complete before I do the initial balance upload from the source system to the target system? Now the point number 1, you had to complete all the batch jobs execution. Means you had to complete the execute all jobs. And to make sure that don't schedule any new jobs or don't delete any jobs from the system when the system is doing the initial balance upload. The point number 1 is nothing but execute all the batch jobs. Point number 2. This is very, very important actually. So normally what we have to do here is nothing but we are going to do the performing of the closings after month end closings or the year end closings, whatever may be. So what we have to do here, perform the closing. So now we have to do the perform.
On the target system. I'm sorry, on the
No,
source
from the
system.
source system.
Yeah, for source systems.
So I'm giving an example. Okay, so posting of asset. So what do you mean by performing the closing for periodic asset posting? What do you mean by using that? Okay, which program I had to use for the posting of the periodic asset accounting? So when I'm using my source system as a ECC, there is a one program which is going to be called as, okay, so we have the called as RAPERB 2000 is the program. So make sure that this program is going to be executed for the asset related. Okay, so I'm just copying this program. I'll go to my source system. you have to execute this program. This is nothing but periodic reposting. Very, very important. SC38. Come to SC38 and use this program name. And in SAP Central, in SAP S4HANA, now we don't have this periodic posting. This is the source system I'm using as SAP ECC, not as an SAP S4HANA.
The name of the program is RAP. You go back to that.
RAPBERB 2000.
Yes, RAPERB 2000, right?
Yes, exactly. So this is the closing program for the periodic asset accounting. So very, very important. The program has to get executed. This is not for the depreciation. The depreciation program is completely different actually. So there are two programs. One is the periodic asset posting. The second one is going to be called as the depreciation posting. For the depreciation posting, RAPOST 2000. This is the periodic posting actually. So if you see here, PER is nothing but periodic posting. PER is nothing but a periodic posting. And whether you want to confirm whether I have done all the depreciations, month-end closing activity, you have to execute and you have to complete all the depreciations. So for checking of the depreciation, that is the another program, that is RAPOST 2000.
Can you
I'll
write
show
that down,
the,
please?
yeah, I'll show the both. I'll show the both. So this is for the periodic posting. Make sure that for the company code RK02, you have been completed all kinds of periodic postings. So if you're not, if your system is showing any kind of errors, you have to rectify. So document type for the APC does not exist in the company code. Mean to say that, so the program which I have to run here, document type is not required. So in the logical system, you're going to be required. This is the one. And the second one is, remove this. You check the whether you have done the depreciation posting. So here we have called as RAPO. Here you can see here RAPOST 2000. This is for the POST 2000. This is for the depreciation posting. This is all the things you have to do in the source system. Now run all the depreciation. That is going to be called as a depreciation. What is the transaction code for this? Earlier, I mean, I came through the program, but what is the transaction code to run the depreciations?
I forget.
AFAB.
Yeah, AFKB, yeah.
AFAB. Okay. So the first one is, okay. The first one is nothing but you are going to be checking whether all the jobs have been scheduled, the jobs have been executed, because there should not be any kind of pending jobs. And the second one is, have you done the periodic posting of asset accounting, RAPERB 2000? And the third one is going to be, have you done all the depreciation posting or not? So yes, I've done the depreciation. Now what is the next one which has to be? So lock all the periods now. Lock all the periods. Okay. What do you mean by periods? So locking the period is nothing but, now I am going to be doing the, now we are into the 9th period. We are in the month of September till the month of August. Please lock all the periods so that there should not be any manual posting, because we are go live with period number 9. So till period 8, all the periods has to be get locked in the source system.
So we are in September.
Yes.
Lock all the periods from January through August, right?
Exactly. Lock all the periods from the January to till the month of August. Lock all the periods. And this one and RAPOST 2000 also. Next one is going to be lock the periods. For FI and CO both. So earlier you asked the question, how do I do that consistency check? Now you in the fourth step, what I have to do here, nothing but I need to do some consistency check of the documents. So what is happening? I need to do the consistency check. Okay, FI consistency check.
Hello? Yeah, ma'am, I'm on the line right now. What's up? I'm doing okay, but I'll be coming on.
Okay. Now, consistency check, very, very important. What type of consistency check I had to do here? Okay, consistency check is very, very important. Consistency check. What are all the consistency checks I had to do here? The first consistency check is nothing but, so you have to do the FI consistency check. First one, FI consistency check. So what is the program I had to use? What is the report I had to use to check my consistency check? Okay, so there is a one report which is going to be called as, okay, you can use this RFINDEX. Please. This is the report we have to use for the consistency check. This is the report we have to use the consistency check for the FI documents. So what is SAP is telling that SAP is going to be recommending that you can run this report. Actually, you have to run this report with a minimum following checks. Okay, depends upon the nature. So what I'm going to do here is nothing but if I copy this RFINDEX. Okay, so now if I go to the source system, okay, this is my source system. If I give here, okay, so or otherwise I'll go to SE38. I'll give this and click on execute. This is going to be called as FI consistency check. So here in FI consistency check, okay, so we have the options over here. So reconciliation, document versus index, okay, documents versus index versus, okay, find message BKPF, okay, what consistency you check you want to do here. So the most important consistency check is nothing but find the missing in the BSEC table and check the clearings and document versus indexes and the open item totals, and the remaining not going to be required. So in this consistency check, okay, I'm going to be selecting what are all the check boxes I need to do, because consistency check is nothing but where the system is going to check whether all the postings have been properly done or not. If any document is there with any line item is missing, if only debit line items are there, credit line item is not there. So appendix, the documents versus index tables has to be checked. So consistency check is nothing but yes, all the documents have been posted properly without any issue. This report is very, 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 very important. So you execute this report in the source system. The report name is going to be called as RFINDEX is the report we have to use it. And make sure that this report you are going to be executing for all the fiscal years. It is not for one fiscal year, you are going to be doing for all the fiscal years. So there is an option which is going to be called as fiscal year option, because the initial load balances you have to do. And the same thing also we have to do for all the systems, not only for one system. If you have multiple systems, you have to do for the multiple systems also. This is the document consistency check. We are going to be calling it as a document consistency check. And the third one, very, very important. The next one, we are going to be using the new general ledger accounting, new GL accounting. So what we are going to be having, we have to execute the reconciliations for the general ledger accounting. So reconciliations are very, very important. This is only when you are going to be using the new general ledger accounting. So what is the consistency check I had to use if I'm going to be using the new GL accounting? So for the new GL accounting, there is a report which is going to be calling it as, okay, so TFC, okay, we can use this TFC underscore, please make a note, compare underscore BZ. This is only if you are using the new general ledger accounting. If you are still in the classic general ledger accounting, don't use. This is only for the new GL. And apart from that, you can also use, okay, if you don't remember this transaction code, you can use the, if you don't remember this program, just use the transaction code /N. You can use this transaction, FAGL03. You can use this transaction code, FAGL, F03, sorry, F03. You can use this transaction for whenever you are using the new asset accounting, okay, execute this reconciliation. Okay, we have to see the reconciliation. So if I press enter, so what is happening? FAGL, sorry. FAG. Okay, this is the report. This is what exactly the transaction code or the report you have to do, where you have to complete all this kind of transactions. Okay, and the next one is going to be called as a material. That is the material reconciliation between the MM and
Yeah,
SD with. Yes, sir.
Mahesh, give us the transaction code just a minute. NFLGL, what was the
Yeah,
transaction
the
code?
transaction code FAGL F03.
Oh, I'm sorry, FANFA, oh, NFAGLF03, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Okay, now, so what we have done, we have done the batch jobs, and we have done the periodic posting of asset accounting, and also we have done the depreciation posting of asset accounting, and we have logged all the periods, and we have doing the consistency check of the documents, and we have done the consistency check of the GL, new GL, and what now here is nothing but now there will be something called as a material management accounting. Okay, so that is what exactly so whenever you have the integration of the material management with your general ledger accounting, so what is happening, there should be some reconciliation issues you might be understand. So to the FI, whatever the financial documents have posted in that has to be get reconciled to your FI, that has to be stored in your general ledger accounting. So very, very important. So I want to check whether the reconciliations have been properly done between the to the FI. If there are any inconsistencies are there, I need to rectify. Otherwise, what is happening, my initial balance upload will not be happen. So there is a report which we have to use, is going to be called as go to SC38. Go to SC38. Very, very important report. We have to do this run report. Okay, so one is going to be calling it as RM. So please make a note. RM07. Very, very important. These all are going to be called as a reconciliation account report. So the transaction is MBST. We are going to be using. This is what exactly we are going to be calling it as a list of the stock value and the balances. Okay, so or directly, if you are not remembering this particular program, we have a transaction code also. The transaction code is going to be called as MBST is the transaction code. You can directly use /NMBST is the transaction code. So this is what exactly the document we are going to be using. So transaction code now, because we are going to be using now, as per the note, this transaction code is no more available. So that is the reason I'm going to be using the program. So you can also use with the help of the program. So go to SC38 and use this particular report, MBST, because we don't have here. So now this is going to be calling as the list of the stock values.
Mm-hmm.
Clear, all of you?
Yep.
So we have seen the integration point of view also, what are the consistency checks we had to do. The next one is going to be calling as a, now what I'm going to be, now you have to see the snapshots now. Snapshots of my financial reporting actually. So you had to take all the reports of the cost centers, balances, you have to check, you have to take the snapshot. So what I'm going to do, I have to take the snapshots of the balances. Mean to say that balances snapshots. Which balances you have to take? You have to take the GL, vendor, customer, asset balance. You have to take the cost center balances. You have to take the profit center balances. Enough. Take all the balance snapshots of all the screens. This is very, very important actually. So keep it ready with you and before you go for the execution. So these are the steps actually. These are the steps where I had to be using before I should go for the initial balance upload. So these all the activities you had to do in the source system. Source system means if I have the Mahesh, if I have the 4 source systems, in all the 4 systems I had to do this activity. Yes, it is not for one comfort system or other system. You have to repeat this for the all the source systems for your balances.
curious about this whole ECC source system, okay? My
Exactly.
question is, if I have a legacy system, not SAP, Oracle, or
Okay.
JDE, what the procedure would be here?
In the legacy system, what you are going to be doing here is nothing, but I'm going to be using the BDC and I'm uploading the balance because I don't record all this kind of settings over there because the legacy system is nothing but your Oracle system or your any other system. So what you're going to do, so when you're going with the greenfield implementation, you are doing the cutover balances and you're uploading the balances to your SAP. Same thing I will do in my SAP Simple Finance also, in the SAP S4HANA Central Finance also. I'll use the BDC program and I'll upload all the balances to my target system.
Okay, I see.
Then after you complete this activity, then I had to go for the initial posting, actually initial load posting, for the FICO posting, for the CO secondary postings and the management account postings I had to do. So before that, initial balance upload. So these are the consistency checks you have to do in the source system. Very, 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 very important.
Okay. Can you just put the ZaranTech repository right here on the screen? We can copy that link.
Which one, sir? Which one you're talking?
The blog, the ZaranTech repository where all the documentation is going to be. Can you just give us the link?
Yeah, just now. Okay, just now I had. Okay, so here, what you're going to do here, there's the material tab is there now. So in this material tab, you are going to get all the materials here in the Central Finance. By today or by tomorrow morning, you will get all the materials over here.
Okay, okay. Where will be the book? Right here?
Yeah, this one here only you will get them.
Okay, all right. So send me the. I want the link to this.
Definitely. I told here. So tomorrow we'll do the remaining. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you for attending the session. I hope you all enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit our Vimeo page and follow for more upcoming videos.